You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Why is it just so hard to price your offers? It's just a number, right? And everybody's doing it. So why is this literally the hardest thing that most people struggle with in their business? Now, if this is you, if you've spent far more hours than what you know you need to be doing on pricing your offers, then tune in to today's episode because it's exactly what we're going to cover, is removing this block that's stopping you from making it easy. Stay tuned. This is coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
Okay, are you ready to dive into today's episode? And on the topic of pricing, which I know is such a sticky one for so many people, there are so many things that we have going on inside our heads when it comes to picking a number. And really, it is just a number. But why do we attach so much meaning to it? Why is there so much angst and frustration and struggle when it comes to selecting that number? Well, the main thing, I guess, that we're all fearing is, well, what if we choose the wrong one? What if we pick the wrong number? What if everything just falls apart and it doesn't work? And usually that's immediately where we go when we're trying to find our pricing. So let's have a look into that for a moment. Like, what is it about this fear of picking the wrong number? What is all this meaning that we're really attaching to it? Now, I'm going to go through what I used to believe in some of the attachments and thoughts, beliefs that I had around pricing when I was starting out my business. And I'm going to say maybe some of these things might be confronting for you. You might start to feel a little bit awkward or uncomfortable because we're talking about money. And yeah, money isn't always a topic that everybody's comfortable talking about. I certainly know for me, that was not the case. I grew up in a family where money was something that was very rude to talk about. We just did not talk about money. And you never spoke about it. You looked and you observed and you made assumptions. But we definitely did not speak about it. So how difficult is that coming into a business where, to have a business, we need to make sales. In order to make a sale, we need to say a price. In order to have a price, we actually need to have a conversation with ourselves about the money. Like, what is it that I'm going to charge for this? What do I feel good about charging? And, I've helped so many clients work through this particularly sticky situation, because what I see so commonly, especially because if you're here listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you're in a service-based business, which means that you're there to serve others and you feel a real power behind being able to help other people with something that is easy for you. Now, whether that is because you're a coach and you're really helping your people to take those steps, to change their life, to have a transformation, or if you're an expert in a certain service area and you know that, while that's easy for you, it's something particularly hard for other people. Either way, you can call yourself an online expert, and you're also a very giving type of person. You want to help other people, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't even be in this business or in this industry. You're there to help others. So that helpful nature, and I particularly find it with those who are coaches, leads you to often feel like, well, this is something that's so easy for me. Surely it's simple enough for someone else. Like, they could go off and figure it out themselves. So we tend to talk ourselves down. We tend to undervalue what it is that we're actually offering somebody and undervalue the things that come easy for you, whether that's been through years and years of experience, or maybe you've had a sort of a natural ability and understanding of something that's come really easily for you. But by the way, it doesn't always come easily for other people. So it's really easy to to downgrade in our own minds the value of what it is that we're offering. And that's one of the very first things, because I've met so many people that felt like, well, I'm helping someone with, going through grief or something like that, and I just don't feel right charging them for it. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you step back from it and remove the emotion that you have around this, you're thinking, well, you're offering a service and it's to help somebody and they want it. They want the outcome that you're providing. Then why wouldn't you charge for it, regardless of whether they might be able to access versions of that potentially for free on the internet? And that's probably another story that we need to just dive into really quickly, because I hear this often. Well, why would someone buy this from me when they can get it for free elsewhere? Well, why would they? Maybe because they trust you and they like what it is that you have to offer. They see that what you have is potentially of more value than something that they are finding for free from an unknown stranger somewhere on the internet who has no credibility. And maybe they're like, I just don't want to spend all that time searching for something that I like the look of through all the thousands and thousands of free options out there. I just don't have time for that. This is here right now in front of me. This sounds great. I like this person. They're going to help me save time and save my brain space and energy by guiding me through it, by giving me the steps, by, basically you're helping them to save the time of learning it all themselves. How long did it take you to learn what you have right now? Was it, 5 minutes? Have you just done a course and then now you're selling it? I doubt that. And I sincerely hope not as well. I'm sure that what it is that you're offering is something that you've spent many, many years gaining expertise and experience and understanding, doing all the learning, making mistakes, finding things out, finding out more than what's on the surface level. Or that would take someone ages if they were going to go through that process as well to learn it themselves. It would take ages. Now you've done that work, you've done it, and potentially you can do it for them by being able to pass on that next level of expertise to your clients. So the first piece is around, first of all, we are going to put a number on your offers, on what it is that you're providing. And in order to do that, you do need to have an understanding and a value and a belief in what it is that you have to offer, that it is worth something to someone else. Even if you yourself may not buy it, that might be because you're already doing it. It doesn't have that value to you because for you, it's easy and you're already there, right? So now that you could start to look at, maybe I'm looking really internally and I could take myself outside and look at it from the 20,000 foot view, see it through someone else's eyes and decide that this does have a really great value. So hopefully we're already there. And if you've been following me at all for any amount of time, and welcome if this is your very first podcast episode, I'm really excited to have you here with me. And you may like to dive into some of my previous episodes. It was only a few episodes back, I was talking about high ticket offers and why often charging something at a more premium level is not only a much easier way for your business to be profitable in less time, but also that you tend to attract a higher caliber of clients and you tend to have more success with those clients simply because they are of a higher caliber, they are more committed, there is more skin in the game, and they're much more likely to follow through and to have the outcome that you're promising simply through their level of commitment to it as well. So we won't re-go over that content today, but I thought it might be useful for me to share with you some of the beliefs that I used to hold on to that stopped me from pricing my services, my offers at a more premium level. Now, the very first one, and I know if you're Australian or in New Zealand, and even I think a little bit in the UK, I'm pretty sure there's some similar things going on there. We have what's called tall poppy syndrome. And that means if anyone is doing well, people love to cut out their feet from underneath them. They love to bring down the tall poppies. Seeing somebody shine, there's this fear of standing out as somebody who's doing really well because of the backlash, because of the judgment, because of this insane culture around the tall poppies. And why shouldn't people be tall poppies, really? I don't even know where this came from. But maybe it was this whole us and them thing back in the day where there were few very wealthy people and there was a lot of very unwealthy or, no wealth people, especially in Australia. Australia began as a convict colony of the UK. So, a lot of people came out here, they had nothing. And then there would have been people who had all of the things. And so there was this us and them and this sort of groundswell of always supporting the underdog. And everyone loves to get behind the underdog. But if someone's doing really well, they don't tend to want to get behind them for some reason. And I think that's really sad, isn't it? Why can't we cheer people on who are doing well, and actually appreciate them and look up to them as to, you've done a great job to get where you are, especially if they had to build it themselves. I think there should be more of that in this world. We struggle with it here culturally in Australia, but even more so, I think there's this fear of being that tall poppy. There's a fear of, hey, looking like you're doing really well. And there's so many people who are so afraid of the judgment that comes with that they will subconsciously and maybe partly consciously choose to not be that person, choose to price really low so that they'd never be labeled as expensive, so that they'd never be labeled as someone who's, oh, wow, look at them, they must be doing really well. There's this insane, it is a little bit insane when I say that, right? You're listening to me thinking, why wouldn't I want someone to think that I'm doing well? Partly, we're all thinking, we're not enough, right? We do want people to tell us that we're doing well, but for some reason, we don't want that to be attached to money. And why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we want to be the person who's seen to be doing really well with a great business and a great lifestyle and with money? There's nothing bad about that. It doesn't turn you into a bad person, does it? If it's just you're a person, you have some money. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I think that sometimes we can see things because money amplifies whatever already exists. So if a greedy person comes across a lot of money, then they are going to have greedy traits that are amplified and like literally on steroids from what they had before because they've just got more resources in order to be greedy with. But if there's somebody who is a very giving person who's out there to make a bigger impact in the world and they do that by supporting others, then having more money actually enables them to be able to do that on a greater scale. And I don't think anybody out there is calling those people greedy. They're saying, wow, I love what they're doing. I love how much they're supporting people. I love what they're doing with that resource that they have, which is money that's available. So there's so much, isn't there, behind one little price. We started talking about choosing a number for your offers and look at all the stuff that we're bringing up because this is what's actually behind it, inside our brains that is stopping us from being able to easily choose a number and to be able to sit with it, be present with it and be happy to say, this is my price and it's a fair price. And yes, I'm allowed to be profitable and I'm allowed to have success in my business, but there's so much that stops us. So that was number one, this fear of the judgment that would come if you dared to price your offers at something that would be reasonable or, proper pricing and not completely undercutting yourself. I just want to say one more thing on that because I feel like this is the one that we really have to nail in order to get somewhere in your business. And it's not about, hey, I'm just out there to make money. It doesn't turn you into a money hungry person. It's turning you into a business that can be really profitable, that can allow you to share that wealth with other people, because what happens as your business earns more, then you're able to invest more. You might invest in services, you might invest with staff, you might invest in technology platforms, you might invest in things that help you in your life, like maybe housekeepers and goodness knows what. Who knows what you might do next, right? But you are able to invest that, and we do. That's what everybody does. So when we think about it, it's not that you are asking for all of this money and it's just for you and you're holding on to it. Not at all, because think about what you could do with it when you have more resources coming in. When your business is more profitable, it might mean that you don't need as many clients. And this is a big one. This was what I did a whole episode on. When you are charging a higher, more premium price for your services, you do not need as many clients to reach that revenue goal, profit goal that you have set. So whether that's 200,000, 500,000, $1 million, it doesn't really matter where it is at right now with your business, but it'll take you less clients to reach that, the higher your price, right? Basic, very basic math there. So imagine that you do charge a more premium price for your services and you increase what you have today to be a more premium offering. You're able to earn more in less time. Well, what does that time then give you? It might give you your afternoons free to pick up your kids from school and take them to sporting activities and not to have to do after school care. It might give you the freedom to go away and take the family away for weekends, maybe do some of those trips that you've always wanted to do and you've just never been able to because you're working so hard and you're putting all that time and effort and energy into your business. So it's not that you're not going to work hard. It's not that you're not going to have integrity or all of those values that you still have. It's actually just more about being able to value what it is that you have to offer and thinking, well, does this work well for my business to be able to have a more premium offering, to work with less clients, but I'm earning more per client. Therefore, I can reach that same target in less time and with less effort as well. So that's ideal, right? But it brings us down to, I guess, the next two beliefs that I used to really struggle with, the reason why I held off from doing this for so long. The next one was that I just had a belief in my mind that people wouldn't buy. If this wasn't a deal, if it wasn't an absolute bargain, then people weren't going to buy. Now, where did this come from? And why would I even think that in the first place? It does seem a little bit crazy now, doesn't it? I'm saying that a lot today. I'm not saying anyone who has these beliefs is crazy. I'm calling myself crazy for having them when I did, because you only have to take that for a moment and examine that thought and ask, but what is it that I'm actually asking them to pay? And is this a large amount of money? And in comparison to what exactly? Because the interesting thing is I know for sure people are buying handbags that are worth more than my services. And back then, there were many, many, many things. Like they could have bought just a standard TV for more than my services. There are people spending that amount of money all the time. And so you think, well, okay, why did I think it would be too much? Why did I think they wouldn't buy if I put this price tag on it? If it's suddenly, a 4-figure price or a 5-figure price, why am I suddenly thinking, oh, people aren't going to buy? They want something that's $5. Well, the interesting thing is that it doesn't really matter what price point we look at, because you can now go out and see this almost everywhere. If you want to buy a car, for example, you can buy one for $10,000. You can buy one for less than $10,000. You can buy one for $200,000 and even more. That's a really standard range, and you probably wouldn't tell a huge amount of difference. The cars on the road, obviously we know which brands are more than others, but just saying, let's just assume that a car's a car. They're out on the road. We're not talking about you not buying a Formula One race car or anything like that, which would be in the millions, but you're buying a vehicle to move in. And there's a huge range of prices that common people are happily buying and paying. And it's like that with many things. And it's the same with services, except that this is where we tend to apply our consumer thinking into our service-based business. Because when you're doing this, you're starting to look at your business like you're selling products. And you think, well, I only buy things when they're on sale. So maybe you go into the supermarket and you look for things that are on a special offer or a deal. And maybe there are times that you don't buy them if they're not, because you know that next time you go, they probably will be on sale, and why not save a bit? Sure, that's sort of smart shopping, right? And maybe you do the same thing with your normal consumables when you're buying clothes or items, maybe furniture as well. But this is a consumer mindset. And it's not the same when we come into services, because you're not just buying a thing that's already been produced that the person wants to shift and move because they want to keep restocking and they've got new stock coming through. You're buying an exchange of energy when you're buying a service. They're buying what's in your brain. They're buying something that might have taken you 20 years to gain that level of understanding and knowledge. So it's not like you just put a price on it because I'm calculating all the little bits that went into it and the labor, and bang, here we go, here's a price. It's like, no, it's actually much more intangible than that. And that's why it's so dangerously easy to underprice, because you don't necessarily see or value the expertise that you have created or built over time, and just how much effort even went into it. Something that's really, really easy to undervalue. And that's why I think so many people kind of feel strange about putting that price on it, because you're also attaching it to, well, I'm asking them to pay me for that, for what's in my brain and what's coming out. And I'm sure that you feel like, I'd love to just tell people and share it. We all do. I do that all the time as well. The thing is that we're here to have a business. It's not a hobby, and it's not a charity. And the purpose of a business is to generate revenue and income, not just for yourself, but to go into the economy. It helps to grow everything, right? Everything that then you come in touch with will grow as well. So it's about creating something that makes money for you and for others, okay? And I think that is a really important thing to do, to distance yourself from it and to think, this is an exchange for what it is that person is going to get out of it, what they're going to achieve by buying this service or this program or this course, whatever it is that you have on offer. So when we are thinking people aren't going to buy, we're in that consumer brain. And the other thing that I'd love to offer here, and it's something maybe to take away and just have a think about, could it be possibly that you're projecting your own money blocks or limitations onto your audience? Now, I've seen this happen, and I've actually seen myself do it, where I've just said, well, they won't buy that. And then luckily I challenge myself, well, who says? Like, has anyone actually said to me that that's too expensive? Or am I putting the words in their mouth? And interestingly, I think you'll find that most of the time, not going to say all of the time, because yes, there are people out there who might say things are too expensive. Are they your ideal client? That's the question you want to ask. But most of the time when you have that thought, oh, they think it's too expensive, I want you to ask and examine, where did that thought come from? Is it something they've actually said to you, or is it you who has put the words in their mouth? That is really important to discern and determine, because it's everything. If it's come from within your own head, then guess who said it? And it's not them. So that was belief number 2. If I have premium prices, people won't buy. Wow. Let's see. There was a lot inside that, and reasons why that was coming up, and ways that, our brains are trying to trick us into thinking that. The final one, and I have heard people say this to me as well, so I think that this is a belief that is quite commonly held out there, especially for services. People tend to think, well, if I have a service that's worth more, then my clients are going to be more high maintenance and more demanding. And it feels logical, because you think, well, it's going to be more premium, and premium people can be prima donnas, or so we like to think and assume. But I'd like to ask you this, and if you have been in business for any amount of time and have served clients, who have actually been the more high maintenance clients for you? Was it the ones who paid the more premium prices, or was it the ones who paid the absolute lowest prices but had the highest expectations and demands and needs? Because my experience has been that it has been that opposite. The illogical answer being that the people who have spent less or have been more at the budget end, have taken an offer that I've put out that's been much lower, less premium offering, have been far more higher maintenance than my clients who are at the more premium end, who've gone for the VIP version, or who have reached out to work one-to-one with me. They have tended to be committed, really invested in what it is that we're doing, easy to work with, and interestingly, they value what it is that we're doing. So they have been, by far and large, easier, lower maintenance people to work with. And so it's interesting, isn't it? Because you wonder where this perception came from, that it means more. And I think that I'm going to unpack what I believe, where we all started with this and why we have that perception, is because Often we think, well, to create a premium product or a more premium service offering, I have to put more things into it. Therefore, I have to deliver more, and it's going to take more time, and there'll be more in there. It'll actually be heavier. But this is creating your premium offering from the same place that you're creating your current non-premium offerings. You're applying the same formula and strategy into it. So yes, the price might be higher, but it's not necessarily a more premium offering. You're just stuffing more things into it to make it a higher price. So the interesting thing, and what I love to do inside Business Jam with my clients when we're doing their offer design, their strategy, and looking at the way that they're packaging up their services and programs, is to look at, what is the way that we can have a premium offering, but that isn't going to drain you to deliver it, because that becomes something that you don't want, right? And that's what a lot of people are like, I don't want to have a premium offering because it'd tire me out too much. It's like, well, it doesn't have to. It absolutely doesn't have to. Some of my easiest offers to deliver are my most premium. So it's all in the way that you structure it. It's all in the way that you decide how you're delivering it, what it is that you're actually helping them do. And I would have to say the value is often more attached to the outcome than it is to the inclusions. And that is my little golden nugget for you to take away today, because that simple sentence means so much. When your value is attached to the outcome instead of the inclusions, you can move away from premium offerings having to be heavier and harder to deliver. They do not have to be. It can be super, super easy to add a more premium offering into your business. And I love helping people do that. Often it's like, let's take what you've already got and turn that into something premium, or add in a premium level to it. It's really easy to do when you sort of know how and what you're looking at with the structure. So there's a lot of food for thought there. And I hope that this is helping you to now feel like, well, okay, I'm ready to put a number on my service. I'm not going to spend hours and hours or days, and I know that maybe you're thinking that you should do this, out there researching what everyone else is doing, because guess what? They are not you and you are not them. So whatever they're doing in their business is their choice. And it has absolutely no bearing on whether your services or your offerings will be successful or not. Because when you've applied your strategy in the right way and actually built it from your core expertise and what you're putting out there in the market, then you're creating a way that people aren't comparing apples with apples. We're not in a price comparison place with a service offering, because you're different from the other options out there. And the more that you can help them to see and align with you and connect with you and want to work with you for reasons of, your values, what you believe in, what you stand for, how you do things. Like, there's so many ways that we can have that connection with our potential clients. And people will be drawn to you for what yours are, and they will also be repelled from you if that's not what they're into. That's a really good thing. You're not a commodity. And the more that you try to treat your business like a product-based business and not like a service-based business, then you're almost forcing a commoditized nature onto your business, where you're asking people to compare you based on price. Please don't do that. That's just not the way to win with a service-based business. The more you become a commodity, then it turns into price competition, like we see every day in the supermarket, in the shops. And that leads to the only winner being the client or the customer. And often those premium clients are actually turned away by that, because they're not looking for a commodity. They're actually looking for something highly tailored that's suitable for them. And by tailored, I don't mean that it has to be customized for that one person. I mean that it is highly, highly relevant and targeted at exactly them and their situation. So that brings us to a whole new conversation on really what defining your niche actually means. And, we can dive into that on another day, because that is literally a whole module inside Business Jam. It's not something that you do in 5 seconds, but it's so important, right? You can see now how all these things are so connected, right? Because it's almost impossible to have one without the other. You can't have a really well-defined offer if you don't have a well-defined niche, if you don't know exactly who you're serving and why and what it is that they want. It's almost impossible. So I'm here to make things easy for you. Thank you so much for tuning in today and listening. And I hope that this discussion has helped to highlight maybe some of the things that are holding you back from finding pricing easy, from being able to choose that number and to be confident in the number that you're choosing. So as you see, I didn't actually talk today about how you choose a number because you probably already know the number you want to choose. You probably already know what it is without going out there and researching what everyone else is doing. Please don't do that. It is irrelevant. This is you. You already know what you want to earn. You already know what that is in your business. The reason why you're not doing it right now is what we've just covered in this episode today. So dive in, find out what it is that has felt really true for you, and see if you can ask yourself some of those questions and find that evidence that shifts those beliefs and perceptions into something else. And you can see that there is another way, or that maybe we've had a certain perspective and it isn't necessarily like that always. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be if you choose it, right? But it may not be like that. And the sooner you can get rid of these unhelpful beliefs around your pricing and around your what price you're putting on your offerings, then obviously the sooner you're going to find it easy to price them appropriately and to have more premium offerings out there. So that's it. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you once again for tuning in. It's been amazing having you with me. Please hit the subscribe button so that you get She's the Business podcast episodes in your feed every week, because a new one drops every single week and there's always something different. I think that's what I love the most about it. So many amazing guests and we are talking different topics all the time. So you're getting almost anything and everything that you need to succeed in this business life. Enjoy and talk soon. Isn't it just so frustrating when you know that out there are so many people that actually need your help, and there's many actively looking for somebody just like you, yet all you seem to attract are the odd tire kicker or really uncommitted client that's kind of dabbling and they don't light you up. They really don't get great results. And you're thinking, what does it actually take to attract clients who are committed, who are happy to pay proper prices for what it is that I do and that I can help to have really great results? What is it going to take? Well, it's not in the activity of what you're doing. Here's the thing. It's usually something else that's a bit deeper. And I'm sharing with you what that is in my training. It's called 5 Keys to Premium Paying Clients. And I'm going to share with you what are these 5 things that you need to have in your strategy so that no matter what tactic or activity you choose to do, it actually works. It works. You attract the right clients, the ones who are ready to work with you, the ones who are ready to pay and sign up. So get yourself over to my website now on jessicaosborne.com/TMF. Register for this free class and let's dive right in. So once again, that's jessicaosborne.com/TMF. And the link is below in the show notes as well. I encourage you to register now, allocate just over an hour of your time, maybe up to an hour and a half, so you can take some notes and really reflect on the things that I share with you in this class. And let's change your year this year. Let's make your business actually turn into your dream business together.